how to deal with jealousy. That's today's topic. Obviously, it varies depending on if you're a male or female, and I'll get into the specifics on how to deal with it later, but generally, I feel like overall, there are some things you should know. So first off, there's two types generally. You get that jealousy when your significant other, whether it's your wife, your husband, or your girlfriend or boyfriend, or maybe just a female or male friend that you've expressed interest and they more or less know deep down that you're interested. And you get that feeling when they start flirting or doing stuff with other people in front of you. And so it breaks down into two categories. They're doing it on purpose to irk you. That's one category. Or two, they're doing it unintentionally. Or maybe they're doing it intentionally, but not to anger you or hurt you. They are simply under the assumption that you aren't perturbed by it or disturbed by it. And that's not always the case. So how do you deal with it? Now, generally speaking, and I'll get to the specifics if you're a male or female later on, but generally speaking, if it's done unintentionally, you should ignore it until it gets to a point where you are seeing some very distinct signs of potential cheating going on, either in the future or in the moment. Now that's the first thing that you should realize. Jealousy is an emotional response that is a survival mechanism. Jealousy has in fact helped many offspring and many males survive, which is why it's a strong trait in males and females as well, because it has, from a biological and evolutionary standpoint, caused a response from the individual which has more or less caused this person to respond in a way that has eliminated the threat somehow, whether physically, violently, or some other method. Look at lions. They in fact kill the offspring of the prior alpha male of the pack before coming in and reproducing with the lionesses. Why? Because he doesn't want someone else's genetics being passed down to his offspring. And that survival mechanism has allowed his gene pool to survive over time. And thus, this behavior gets passed down and it has grown in abundance. It's simple natural selection. And so when we come back to this, when we talk about anything in terms of emotions, unfortunately though, not everything passed down genetically is perfect or ideal in the current modern age. Why? Because our environment is constantly changing and we're adapting to these changes, and some traits become outdated. Some traits still help you survive and reproduce and help you thrive in life, and a lot of other things help you. Some help you accumulate plenty of resources, and in this day and age, resources equate to money, currency. But long story short, emotions, especially the ones like anger, jealousy, envy, they're outdated and they more so hurt us than help us. And one of the big reasons is because we have very recently, as a society and as a world, developed the tools to rapidly change our environment to a point where it's changing constantly, and we cannot. We try our best to keep up with all the changes in our environment and adapt as well as we can. And so long story short, Emotions, especially those that cause some sort of physical reaction, the ones that cause you to go up and punch a guy in the face, a lot of these will hurt you more than help you. If you punch a guy in the face, you're going to, like, as many successful people and many people who have gone through it tell you, it's not worth the violence. Sure, maybe you'll beat him in the fight. Most likely not. You'll probably get injured yourself. But even if you do, where does that land you in this modern society? Where does it land you in a place where you're either out of a job, you're in prison for life, you're sentenced to execution, your dignity and your reputation gets shredded, you're known as that violent guy, you're suspended at school. Plenty of things could happen, especially if you end up killing the guy accidentally or harming him, or it gets videotaped and you're exposed for life. Violence is not the answer. And so think about it though. It's all automatic. It's not something many people think about. They don't stop and think and really prevent the emotions from acting. Some are smart and they do, and they just quiet down, they meditate, or they just chill out and they really think about it from a logical perspective, and I applaud them for it. But the point is though, you have to realize you have to cool your brain, and you have to step away and think about it. Now, if it is a significant relationship, so that means official girlfriend or boyfriend and above. So anything above would mean husband or wife or something like that. You have to know, at least on a reasonable level, and obviously that's subjective and I can't give you specific guidelines because there's so many scenarios, but on a reasonable level that something is going on, it is not just a little event that you are just overreacting to. That's probably the only logical time to step in. And for me personally, and this may differ, but I would only walk into some serious commitment knowing ahead of time that I will not be cheated on, and this is a girl who respects me enough not to do so. But more so than any of that, whether you're a male or female, you have to have that sort of self-esteem and security in yourself to know that I am awesome, and I will not be insecure if my girlfriend or my boyfriend, if you're a female viewer, talks to another person of the opposite gender. Now obviously there are lines that are drawn, and if you see those lines drawn, I personally would never get into a relationship with a female that I know has adulterous characteristics, which sometimes they can't help, or sometimes it's just ingrained into them, where they just have a propensity to cheat on you. And a lot of people fail to do this, whether it's because they find her attractive physically or for whatever reason that they overlook it. Oh, well, I want her, even though you realize that her drawing, why she's drawn to you is so insignificant. Why she's drawn to you is so subtle or small that any new form of attention she gets, she'll hop on the bandwagon. Like that sort of stuff should be red flags to you, and that's one of the first things you should look towards before getting into any sort of relationship. The next thing is just straight out insecurity, and that's something you have to sort out yourself, because quite honestly, some girls, especially girls of high value, whether you like it or not, and there's obviously various forms of value, intellectual value, physical attractiveness, a lot of things you can respect in a girl. Well, a girl of that quality is going to attract a lot of guys. It's just by nature. And that insecurity that you would have if you have that jealousy comes from a fact that you don't think you're worthy. You're scared that a better male will come and take over and steal her away, or you're scared you're not valuable enough. Same thing works with females, you know. The same, but in this world of equality, you know, even if you're female, there's plenty of ways to achieve value for yourself. You could be a businesswoman. There's a lot of equality these days, and so you have to do two things. You have to, you know, accept yourself and truly be proud of yourself and secure enough in yourself to understand that you are worthy. And if other guys approach it, you just have to understand that this is a quality woman, and you have to expect these sort of things to happen, and you should not be insecure. And you kind of have to realize that they're just talking, and so forth, because oftentimes that's what it is. This girl likes you and respects you enough and values you enough because she realizes how quality you are, but your own insecurity and your insecurity of how much value you are, how much you value yourself, is conflicting with that, and you're scared that this girl will be taken over by someone else. And so I would say that's the first thing. Whether you're female or male, you have to establish, before getting to any sort of committed relationship, you have to understand and make sure that this female truly values you and respects you on that level, not some superficial or shallow thing. The second thing is having that security and value in yourself, so you're not insecure. Because trust me, the people who are truly quality men or truly quality women, they know they are awesome, and therefore they're not going to be worried about some guy talking to their wife. Does Bill Gates worry about this sort of stuff? Put any successful person in that blank space. They don't, because they know their value, and they know that they're very attractive and they're hard to come by, and they have an abundance of women. And so if you don't have these things, then you have to work on yourself. You have to work on yourself in either achieving them or attaining them, or just making achievements to get to that level. And that's one way of ascribing value, but it's not necessary. If you want to base everything off of material things, that's one way of achieving that sort of security in yourself. Another way is just through a lot of self-help and self-improvement, and realizing that you're already awesome. That's sometimes harder, sometimes easier, depending on the person. But those are my 2 cents. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe. And I'm going to be doing a video more towards people in school or younger people about jealousy as well. I think that will help. Oh yes, regarding gender specificities, gender details, I would talk about this in the younger generation one. I'm going to do a video for younger kids on this topic, and I'll talk about it in that one. So stay tuned for that one on gender specificities to jealousy. So as always, like, favorite, comment, and share this video with someone you think would benefit from this. And I will see you in my next video. Hit the subscribe button, it's free.